What is the best generative engine optimization strategy for AI? Well, the short answer, there isn't one. And in this episode, I'm going to explain exactly why that is and why business owners need to be very careful about who they're listening to right now. There's a growing number of people or businesses selling something called GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. They claim that they can help you rank inside of tools like ChatGPT. So it's not that ranking inside of ChatGPT is not possible, but if you understand how generative engines actually work, that claim doesn't make sense. In this episode, you're going to fully understand why that is. Let's dive right in. So throughout this episode, I'm going to break down the difference between generative engines and answer engines and why trying to rank inside a generative tool is just not possible. That's a category error. You're going to learn what actually works if you want AI tools to send people to you and how to protect yourself from snake oil marketing in this space. So by the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly where to focus your time, where to focus your content and your budget so that you don't waste it. So right off the bat, let's address the big misunderstanding, right? There's all this excitement for ChatGPT and getting ranked in ChatGPT and other AI tools. And we hear this term, generative engine optimization, and we think, oh, okay, that's the new thing. That's the latest and greatest thing. But think about what you're saying there. What is a generative engine? And you might have heard the term AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. What's the difference? Well, an answer engine will dig and find answers and provide an answer to the person, but generative engine, that will create something. It doesn't search and find, but it uses the magic of this AI generative brain to create and imagine. And so it might seem like a semantic, but if you hear people talking about generative engine optimization, that's actually a sign that they are using a catchy buzzword to try and sound like an authority, but that they don't really know what they're talking about. Whether we're talking about Google or YouTube algorithms, or these AI platforms. I'm just going to use the word algorithm to illustrate a point here. When people are using one of these platforms, there are various different algorithms. On YouTube, there's a suggested algorithm. There's also a browse algorithm. There's a search algorithm. And there's AI built into all of these. So when you launch a video on YouTube, it's very helpful to know which algorithm you're trying to appease. Do you want to show up in search? Or do you want your video to go viral? Okay, so different algorithms have different methods in what they're looking for. Now, if we look at these AI platforms like ChatGPT and we think their generative engine or their answer engine, which one do we want to be ranked in? The answer engine is the obvious choice. If people are looking for an answer and we have answers, it's so easy to get our content recommended in these places on places like ChatGPT. But have you ever used ChatGPT as a generative engine? Have you had it create something for you? Like I've done lots of fun things. I've had it create artwork. I've had it create poetry. I've had it create a treasure hunt for my son. I've had it create a crossword puzzle with input that I gave it. And it's amazing, these generative capabilities of these AI platforms. But generative engine optimization isn't a thing because that's not how these generative engines are working. If you're tapping into the generative side, it's not looking for a person to reference. It's looking to be the resource and to actually create. So let's do a breakdown of all the different platforms that we can talk about. Okay, so YouTube, Google, and ChatGPT are the ones we're going to focus on. So YouTube, they have the suggestion engine, the browse engine, and the search engine, which is more of an answer engine type search engine these days. Now with Google, it can be more of a direct search engine, but it's commonly used now as an answer engine, like a question lookup, whether it's through resources, through YouTube videos, or through the AI overview. And the same thing applies to ChatGPT. Whatever type of research you're doing, you can be asking questions and get answers, or you can have it do research and have it look up resources, or you can have it create and generate. So the main reason I think the distinction is good to know of understanding the difference between the generative side and the answer side is because it's really easy to show up on the answer side. When we see the generative side, we might have a fear and think, what if I am going to be replaced by AI? What if I'm no longer needed because AI tools are so creative and can do what I do. That's a valid concern. I'm not saying that that concern doesn't exist. However, in my experience, just as we've stepped into this AI age, I've seen so many businesses thrive because instead of being afraid from and trying to compete with ChatGPT, they align themselves with it and ChatGPT starts recommending them. In fact, they get more referrals, more recommendations than they did beforehand. So ChatGPT has actually helped their business to grow. Now, as a user of ChatGPT, it's very important to understand the difference between generative and answer engine because you can get mixed up and it can actually really hurt. So I'll just share a simple personal example. I love studying scripture, and I was reading some scriptures and I found some that I really liked the topic. And I was curious if there were any leaders in my church that have spoken on the specific subject that I had found. So I asked ChatGPT. Now, so I was doing answer engine research. I wanted some answers. Guess what ChatGPT did? It gave me a quote from Gordon B. Hinckley, and it framed it in quotes and everything. And I read the quote and I'm like, that is a really good quote. I have never heard that before. So I asked for the reference. ChatGPT gave me a reference. I looked up the reference, it did not exist. There was no talk with that name at that date, and that was like, so I went back to ChatGPT, and it apologized, but it gave me another reference. I kept digging, and there was no reference. Gordon B. Hinckley had never said this quote. And so I confronted ChatGPT. I'm like, you are lying to me. Gordon B. Hinckley has never said this quote, and it admitted, I thought that you wanted me to create something that he might have said or that he would have said based on, and I'm like, no. So when we're doing research and we want answers, we don't want generative content. So when we're using tools like this, we need to be very, very clear and give it instructions. I only want you to search for exact quotes or whatnot. I don't want you to make things up. I don't want you to assume or to be creative in this way. I need research. More and more users of tools like this are learning the difference. And that's actually good because when somebody is looking for a person with expertise, a person that's got real biases because of their experience, ChatGPT is very likely to refer people to you. So that brings us back to business. Let's talk about some of the dangers in a lot of the conversations or even the marketing companies that are out there. If you hear a company talking about generative engine optimization, now you know that that's kind of a red flag, right? Look into that. What are they talking about, and do they actually know what they're talking about? If they mention the correct term, answer engine optimization, you still want to look closely to see, do they really know what they're talking about? Do they include a conversation about YouTube? When they talk about a website, do they focus on web pages and keywords? That actually doesn't work anymore. But if they're talking about a website, do they talk about a blog? That would be a good thing for them to focus on. Other red flags to listen for is, do they mention social media? Do they mention that Facebook, for example, is a part of their strategy for answer engine optimization? I'd be very leery and skeptical because content on Facebook is not indexed and not served up on answer engines, or it doesn't get served up on Google. So what you need to be looking for in an answer engine optimization service is a company that can help you create content that is indexed, for a company that really focuses on YouTube content, on blog content, and if they talk about Reddit or Wikipedia, and look at the testimonials or look at the case studies and find out their clients actually get real customers and real traffic from search. This applies to all answer engines. I've actually been doing this since 2015. So that's before the term answer engine optimization existed, but Google changed from being a website search engine to what I called a content search engine, but definitely answer engine perfectly describes it. So Google transitioned from being a search engine to an answer engine clear back in 2015. Any tool or AI tool that acts as an answer engine can be your ally if you apply the LEAF strategy that I teach on this channel. If you want to understand where the real opportunity is, especially when it comes to AI visibility, you need to understand one platform in particular. In the next episode, which I'll link to right there, I'm going to show you why YouTube is the key to unlocking ChatGPT and how answer engines are already pulling from video content in ways that most businesses don't realize. If you're serious about showing up in AI-powered search, then this next video is what you need to watch. I'll see you there.